Hi, and thanks for tuning in. Today we have the 2026 Triumph TF450X. This is a bike that didn't get nearly the attention it deserved when it was released a few months ago. It was actually a brand new model, never before seen in the US. The bike revealed 1 year ago was the TF450RC, a limited production Ricky Carmichael edition. Triumph arranged its production schedule a little backwards from what we normally see, with a special edition preceding the standard model. It actually makes a great deal of sense to do it that way. That puts a limited number of bikes into the world where the company can monitor how it's working and react quickly if issues arise. The rollout went well. The press loved the bike, and so did the somewhat limited number of customers who snagged one. About 2 months ago, the standard version arrived with a handful of updates, but minus a few glitzy items that made the RC version more expensive. The base price of the 2026 Triumph TF450X is $10,395. One of the issues that Triumph engineers addressed was the clutch, which got a new hub and a new Belleville spring, mostly for durability issues. The gearbox got a new selector star, and the motor mounts were revised. And then there were changes to the graphics, but the core elements of the bike were unchanged. The Ricky Carmichael Special Edition had a number of parts you won't see here. ODI Podium Flight RC bend bars, Dunlop Geomax MX34 tires, a gripper seat cover, a front disc guard, an X-Trig hole shot device, and Wi-Fi communication with your smartphone. This version comes with Pirelli MX32 mid-soft terrain tires, and you'll have to purchase those other items as accessories. When we got the 2026 model, we threw it right into a 12-bike comparison, where it had a respectable showing, but it clearly deserves a closer look. One thing that really surprised us at the end of that shootout was how well it performed on the dyno. It made more peak power than any of the Japanese or Italian bikes. It topped out at 58.6 horsepower at 9,200 RPM. Only the KTM and the Husqvarna had more peak power. Our test riders, for the most part, considered it mid-pack in the horsepower department. That's actually high praise when a bike makes this much power but disguises it with a super smooth power delivery. It's kind of a humble beast that doesn't broadcast the fact. The Triumph is perhaps a little soft off the bottom and then makes a great deal of mid-range. It's not the kind of bike that lets you get away with being 2 gears too high. You get the most out of it when it's in the right rev zone, so don't hesitate to shift it a little more than you might think is appropriate for a 450. One side note here, it still doesn't like to shift under power, but it does come equipped with quick shift, which helps that process considerably. We recommend using that on the start and then switching it off in the course of the race with that big multi-function handlebar switch. You also have traction control, launch assist, and a map switch on that same control. It has 2 maps pre-programmed into the ECU, standard with the light off and mild with the light on. It feels quite a bit tangier with the light turned off, but some people love the mild map too. Scott Redding is a professional British superbike road racer who has been riding locally here in the US on a Triumph this last year. He prefers the mild map because it smooths out that hit in the middle. Other riders like the hit simply because it makes the bike more exciting. Like we said, no one felt it was that fast despite its horsepower numbers. The strongest point of the bike remains its overall handling. It is outstanding in turns, but what we like the most is that it has much better straight line stability than most of the other 450s. Only the Kawasaki and the Beta are in the same league. It's also very light. On our scale, without fuel, it's 231.3 pounds. That's essentially the same as the Yamaha YZ450F and a couple of pounds more than the Austrian bikes. On a side note, in our 4 450 shootout video, we mistakenly said the Triumph was 233 pounds. That's actually the weight of the RC edition, which has a number of accessory items that make up that difference. If there's any one aspect of the bike that cries out for careful setup, it's the suspension. The Triumph works best at 104 millimeters of sag. That's not unusual, but we have noticed if you're a little off in your measurements, it does make a big difference. We would estimate that Triumph's target rider for this bike is a 175-pound novice. For that rider, the balance and the spring rates are spot on. Pros will want it stiffer right from the start, which is appropriate for a bike sold to the mysterious average rider. Of all the recent newcomers to the motocross ranks recently, we feel Triumph did the best job. It's light, it's powerful, and after a year of the field, it's turning out to be very reliable. If you want to see how it did in our 2026 450MX shootout, you can find that right here on our YouTube channel, along with all kinds of other good stuff. You can also catch up with us at dirtbikemagazine.com or even on the newsstand. We're still printing an issue each and every month with ink and paper. I'm Ron Lawson. Thanks for watching.